Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode 5 of the D&T Wrestling Show. I am your host, Daniel, the D and the D&T, joined by the co-host with the most, the man with the plan, Tyler, the T and the D&T. Tell the people how you're feeling.
Yo, I am doing amazing. It's a little hot over here in Niagara Falls, Canada today. I say hot. It's like
Hot.
75 degrees. We don't get that normally over here. So,
True.
but yeah, no, everything has been great, my friend. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. We are settling down. One might be able to say no more WrestleMania season amongst us. This is just normal wrestling season now, the first of
Yep.
the year, really. And we have, maybe I would say, a corresponding Raw to give you all today, because probably not quite as good as the last week's, which I think is fair to say, or SmackDown, obviously. But it was still a show, and we're going to go over it for y'all. We're going to cover it. We're going to tell you what we thought, give you the ups and downs of what happened, give you maybe some insights into things you may have not seen yourself. A couple things that I actually didn't see, and Tyler will be going over, and I'll hear for the first time. We'll give you that. We'll also then go into a little segment for y'all we have at the end where both of us are each going to give our own personal Mount Rushmore of wrestlers for both men and women in the WWE up to this point in our lives. So this would cover from the very first time we ever watched wrestling to today. Who do we consider the best four men and the best four women between me and Tyler? So that'll be the show for y'all today. I say we get right into it unless you got anything else for him before we do the first segment of Raw.
No, let's roll right into this.
Let's get it
So the
going.
first segment on Monday Night Raw was we have Seth freaking Rollins come out with Braun Breaker in a suit, a like 2-3 piece suit, whatever it was. Paul Heyman right by his side. The new vision of the WWE comes out is kind of what Seth is calling this. They come out, go to the ring. Everybody is still like singing and cheering Seth's song. A little bit of boo for Paul Heyman. But other than that, they're still kind of cheering his song, right? So they still like it. They still want to do it. Like the fans, we all want it. So okay, cool. So as it goes in, Seth just kind of goes and explains like, this is the vision. This is who we are. Like, if you get in our way, we will stop you. Lo and behold, we hear Sami Zayn's music pop up. So Sami Zayn comes out and addresses Seth Rollins in the ring, is basically saying like, you're no better than Roman Reigns. You're no better than CM Punk. You're just like them. You're
Yeah.
just like them, if not even worse. He's like, Seth's like, no, I'm not like that. Can't you see? Can't you see? Like, we're trying to be good. We're trying to be good, and we're trying to further our industry. We're trying to make our industry better. That's what Seth's mindset is right now.
Right, right.
And Sammy just goes back to, it all roots down to the same thing. You have this guy over your shoulder. He's pointing to Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman, everything he touches so far, it goes to poison. It goes to just bitterness. From what Sammy's point of view is, and yeah, that's kind of just the explanation. Sammy and Seth are just going back and forth, and Seth basically says, you're either with us or you're without us. And if you're without us, we're gonna run through you, and we don't want to do that because you're my friend, Sammy. But I'm gonna give you this option. You either fight us or you move to SmackDown, because if you're not with us, we're gonna tear you apart anyway. And then Seth basically gives Sammy the rest of the night to think about it, and we'll move on past that to kind of go, because that's a little bit later on the show what the decision is and everything. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's pretty much that segment. Seth and them leave. Sammy and Braun Breaker have a long stare down, and then Braun leaves, and then boom, that's moved right into the next segment of Raw.
Yeah. Yeah. You covered it. You hit every point. Fun little, part one of a larger thing happening on this show tonight of like, okay, a lot of people wondering who might be the next member of this group. Sami Zayn is the very first person that is introduced to us on a promo, on just a regular Monday Night Raw. And we're thinking like, okay, does this mean Sammy is the next member? Probably not. Like at the moment, we were thinking probably not. He's a good guy, right? He's Sami Zayn. He's all about fighting against the bad guys. So yeah, he comes out and he does kind of give us that promo of like, I've known you for 12 years, Seth. Like, what's going on here? Like, he basically is like, I don't know about this. Like you said, Seth was like, Seth seemed basically like pretty undeterred by Sammy's feelings on this entire thing. He just kind of seemed to be like, oh no, I that's funny that you're saying that. Like, I'll give you to the end of the night. Like, he kind of seemed confident, right? That it's like, no, you're gonna join me. So definitely like a
Yeah.
lot to look forward to, right? So you opened up the show with this. Maybe not really much else to say. The only thing that I noted that you wouldn't have said, this was just my own personal thing, was like, uh, I think now with Seth being the Paul Heyman guy, Paul Heyman has the least amount of work he's ever had to do in his career. Like, he just has to go out there and kind of
Yeah, for
stand there.
sure.
He is not the mouthpiece. Like, Seth is probably the best on the mic person Paul has ever represented, maybe other than CM Punk, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, so it is like he's
Yeah.
getting his very
Makes
own
sense.
new CM Punk, which I don't know if we'll hear those comparisons at any point, but that's kind of what I'm feeling like uh, as far as actually Paul Heyman and what he does. So that's that. If you got nothing else on that, we can go on to the first match of the night.
No, it's pretty basic. Like I said, it's just
Mm,
you know, it, the bulk of what happens later in the
later,
night, and
yeah.
then
So we'll
we
we'll
can
get to
obviously
that.
go on a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
So
go on with the first match.
first match of the night, fun one. Great little rivalry that's getting built here. I was really hoping this is the direction we were going to go when they started and showed this all to us last week. Wasn't sure if this was an actual direction that all the women would be involved in, or if it would be just for last week. But it's Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez. So just a regular singles match. First of all, just amazing to watch, just amazing to witness. Two great wrestlers, two very over. Like, Rhea is the top dog in the yard right now for women. Roxanne is probably that of all the younger women who are coming up and trying to prove themselves. So just exactly the kind of match you'd want to see. I'd almost say with some more story behind it, I would want to see it at a pay-per-view probably, like, and I think they showed it. So
Yeah.
this match itself was not necessarily over the top, but it did show promise. A lot of great execution early on. It really was just Rhea manhandling Roxanne. That's it. Just her destroying Roxanne and doing multiple different body slams and just destroying her. But then slowly Roxanne does kind of find little savvy ways to kind of like the same way Liv, I would say, wrestles against Rhea. And you're starting to realize like a lot of these smaller women have just really great chemistry with Rhea. It just works well for them to
Well,
be.
one note that I had is that Roxanne is a very technical
Yes.
wrestler, so she's like a lot of the submissions, a lot of body tampering, a lot of that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how you deal with,
A,
having a smaller
a
stature, in
giant.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she wrestles a lot like Chad Gable, just without a lot of the like muscular moves.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's,
mean?
that's actually a
Like
great way to put
the
it.
suplex and stuff. Yeah, so
Roxanne, there's a reason
she's very
Roxanne's getting pushed. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she's awesome. Just great moves, great, and that's a great note that she is willing to do a lot of the more the moves that take time to really put it on for the crowd that you're doing something specific to like a body part or a limb or whatever. Like, a lot
Yeah,
of people just like to do the slams because the slams look cool from afar, and it's not hard to do. It's really not as hard to do as like
yeah.
some of these more technical moves. But anyways, this match goes on. Like I said, Roxanne does start to find her footing, so they're not really making it seem like Rhea's just going to stomp Roxanne. It's a good sign for Roxanne that we probably will be seeing more of her a lot. And I if I remember back some of these predictions that we were making in the last couple videos, pretty sure we talked about Roxanne a lot as being someone to look out for. But anyways,
Yeah.
so what ends up happening here is we actually don't get a real 1 2 3 pin winner. What ends up happening is Julia, who does seem to be officially in some type of group or tag team with Roxanne. Julia comes in to interfere, gets the match kind of thrown out, and it looks like it's going to be Roxanne and Julia kind of like teaming up on Rhea to beat her up, whatever. But then it's Io Sky who actually comes in to save Rhea. So very interesting direction that they're kind of putting us in. You know, I don't have a ton of notes other than just to say like, okay, like they're doing this right. We already saw it all last week.
Yeah.
All these women were in the ring last week in a segment. It just wasn't necessarily confirmed in any way that this would be a consistent week to week thing. The idea that Io
Yeah.
and Rhea are going to team up now is really cool, especially obviously after
I
that
agree.
really great match they had. I don't know if this is a permanent thing. Again, like me and you have talked about it. We were talking about the idea that there's going to be this new shield formed between Roxanne and Julia, and who else, right? Who's this third member? I kind of feel low key like the third member is Rhea Ripley, but that's just me. I
It
kind
could
of,
be. It could be. That would be awesome. That would be actually
yeah,
insane. Two notes. One note on the actual match itself.
sure.
Roxanne had this really really cool springboard moonsault to
Mm.
where so the turnbuckle's
Yes,
right here. She bounces on this rope to bounce on the other rope that's on the other side, and then does the springboard moonsault.
that
So
is
she goes
really
from
cool.
one. She goes from the ground to one rope to the opposite rope, and then did a moonsault. I thought that was pretty sweet. A little bit different than what you see. Obviously Jacob Fatu and Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair are the three ones that that do the moonsault
Like the hop up one.
normally. Yeah, the hop up normal moonsault. So just adding her own little flair to it is pretty cool. And then the second thing, back to your point of the women's Shield, Cole was mentioning NXT invading Raw. He said these NXT women are invading Raw. So he's like,
Mm.
is he hinting at women's
Something
Nexus?
coming, yeah, like a women's
Is
nexus.
he
Okay, that would be cool. That would be cool.
is he
So
hinting at that?
that would
So
be a
I don't. But
way.
I specifically heard that from Cole. He's like, because when Julia came out, it's like, oh, more of these NXT women invading Raw, and I was like, okay,
Right,
WWE knows
right.
how to WWE knows how to plant stuff.
That sounds like
They
a
really
planted
do.
Michael Cole written line. Exactly. I get exactly what you're
Exactly.
saying.
And this
I
this
didn't even
reminds me
hear
a
that. I
lot.
didn't even hear that.
This reminds me a lot of the Wade Barrett and Daniel Bryan kind of era in Ryback, that
Mm,
kind of stuff, when they would like have these one-on-one matches and then that stuff would happen. So we just have to see
I
where
believe.
this goes and how many more women come up. But like I said, WWE is smart in what they do, and Michael Cole is the GOAT for a reason. So there's something in that.
No, that would be really cool, especially given the kind of issue they're having right now, where the women, the like kind of up and coming women's, the pool of them, there's a lot of them, right? Like a ton of them. So you could solve like a two birds one stone kind of problem by putting them all in one big group, where the whole point is that well, they're all coming up from NXT, and they're
Yep.
here to
We're the
mess shit
future.
up.
This is
Yeah,
what
we're the
we'll do. Yeah.
future. Yeah, that's a pretty cool idea. I'm really not against that at all. I like both of our ideas. Whether it's a women's nexus, maybe it is a women's nexus led by Rhea Ripley. I don't know, but like Rhea
Yeah.
needs some kind of group. I've been
I
saying this
like your
multiple
idea.
times. So, because now that I'm thinking about it and my gears are really turning, I don't see an actual long term real partnership between Io and Rhea. That just seems like mismatched. That seems wrong. Like it just feels like that won't be the case, and I think they would much rather have them fighting against each other than being teamed up,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So, and I
I think
think
so.
maybe
Especially saying that Rhea has never beaten Io.
that is also a
So
great
it's just
point,
like
and
that'll be an angle.
that could be an angle to bring back, actually bring Damage Control back into the fold. Maybe even bring Bailey back into the fold, and then all of a sudden you have like a
Yeah.
true vets versus kind of young people plus Rhea. Rhea's still also honestly not that old, so it doesn't actually sound that
Rhea's our
crazy.
age.
Right, so it's not that crazy that she would be even the leader of the Nexus. Like, there were people in the Nexus when it happened that were older than we are right now. If that, like, they were in their 30s, right? So it's not like
Yeah.
Rhea being what her age is. It would actually make a ton of sense that she's like a young wrestler leader of all these other young wrestlers who are up and whatever. But cool segment, cool direction that they're going in with this. I love it. The odd person out obviously is just Bianca, who has her like injury, but she's going to go back to SmackDown anyways. So no, great spot for all these women to be in, and I'm excited to see what's coming up. So that's all I got. We can go on to the next segment if you want to take it
Here's
from here.
Judgment Day. Uh,
Oh, you're
Finn
totally
comes
right.
back and he's like, "Hey," welcome back, JD. Nice to see you." All that type of stuff. They're just kind of catching up, and then JD's like, kind of mentions and slips up, or Liv comes in and is like, good luck on your guys' match later. And JD's like, and Finn's like, what are you talking about? And JD's like, man, I wanted to tell you, like, I got us a match uh, uh, for number one contendership against the War Raiders for the tag titles.
Right.
And he's like, Finn's just sitting there, kind of like, okay, like, cool. Like, I'm kind of pissed off though. Like, I want to be kept in the loop about things. Like, can we please next time just keep me in the loop? And then Finn leaves, and JD and Liv kind of go back and forth and are like, just like, oh, JD's like, oh, I know, I wanted to tell him, I should have told, like, you shouldn't have said anything, and then
Right,
blah, blah,
right.
blah, blah. Just none of that stuff. Um, and then Carlito comes in and is like, he just comes back to the front of the camera. He's like, oh, Judgment Day, we're all going to be champions. Carlito should be a champion. And then it's just that, then that's kind of how it ends right there. So, um, then, okay, so there was this promo about, with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. It was one of those stage promos that you see on like the Netflix or the
That's what I was,
Canada
okay.
shows,
That's why. Yeah.
like the
Okay.
ones that,
Then yeah, take this one because I wouldn't have seen it,
yeah,
and actually people probably
yeah.
wouldn't be able to see it themselves anyway. So
So yeah, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. So Austin Theory is like, "Hello, Kansas City. Uh, ready to try your barbecue." Basically, is the gist of what he just said. Then Grayson Waller comes in. He's like, he's carrying a Eagles Super Bowl championship belt, saying like, "Oh, I'm so glad I got to come to Kansas City and celebrate the new Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles, being the dastardly heel he is, right?"
right.
Um, but the big takeaway, the reason I wanted to mention this, is that Grayson Waller is like, dude, I got us a chance. I got us a chance I got us the big chance that we've been talking about. And Austin's like, oh, really? Okay, awesome. What are we doing? What's happening? And he's like, Grayson Waller's like, well, Grayson Waller is in 1-on-1 match against whoever it is. So he's in singles match
Oh
without Austin
no.
Theory. And
Aye.
Austin's like, okay, like what are you talking about, basically? Like, just how his facial expressions are. He's like, yeah, basically the reason I wanted to put it in here is like there is the Austin Theory and
Well,
Waller turmoil again that we've been dealing
for a
with for months
while,
and months and months
yeah.
and months on. But this is the first time they've kind of like brought it back up again in a long time.
I
So
wonder
I think
why.
we're gonna get to it. Yeah,
Well,
I think we're
but
gonna get to it. So,
what do you think the big reasoning for that might
oh,
be?
what we were talking about was Austin Theory joining the Vision, him joining that side. So that would be cool.
That
Don't get
would
me
be
wrong, that
cool.
would be awesome. Um, so yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up, because they seem to be splitting in the near future. But then now you can go ahead and talk about the next thing.
Okay, so let me pull the notes back up. My phone went dark. So at this point, just let me know if something ends up being like a little out of order, if there's something I missed. But what I have next would be the tag team match the Judgment Day had just kind of brought up in the previous promo versus the War Raiders. So this is Finn and JD versus Eric and Ivar.
Yep.
And it also had New Day sitting ringside at the announcer's table calling the match. I honestly had more notes about what the New Day was saying, just like that, because they were talking a lot, like they pretty much did the commentary. They
Yeah.
just kept talking, and it honestly was more attention grabbing than the match itself. Honestly, in my opinion, like the worst match of the night. It was just I don't like the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar. I don't know what it is. They're not bad. Like they're not bad wrestlers. They're fun, but every time they're on the screen now, recently, it's just very boring. I don't know if it's just hard to work with them. I don't know what it is, but like something about this match just
It's their
felt
shtick. Their
slow.
shtick is just raw. It is war. It's trying
That's
to be edgy.
boring.
It's just,
Yeah, but there was a lot of
it's
high
not.
flying
It
in this
doesn't.
match. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lot of high flying. That's what a lot of this match was. Just both the teams constantly going back and forth, jumping off the ropes and jumping off the turnbuckle over and over and over, like over the ropes to the outside, over and over and over. It was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But it's just a solid tag team match. Basically, like I said, you have a lot of smack talk from New Day at the commentary table. One thing I did say is that Xavier literally just ends up calling one of the War Raiders fat, and then just keeps calling him fat, which I feel like that's just one of those things. Like you wouldn't think you would hear that on TV, if that makes sense nowadays, in this
Yeah.
weird way, but he just keeps saying it because he's like a heel, so it is kind of funny. Like, okay, I think he realizes he's not supposed to say it, so he just kind of kept saying it. And at that, it was funny because at that same exact time, the one he was talking about runs to do a body slam to one of the others on the outside, and he misses, so he slams his entire body against the electronic board on the side of the ring, and it was like, oh my god, that was actually kind of
Mhm.
it's kind of painful looking actually. And he's like, you just have Xavier Woods being like, he's fat, he's fat, he's fat. It's like Jesus Christ, like this guy's getting trounced right now. But anyways, fast forward to the end. The only really significant thing here is that Judgment Day is setting up to win. And remember, so this I'm pretty sure this is a number one contenders match for the tag team belt. So this is like a pretty big
Oh,
deal.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
So
it was. Yeah.
um, uh, basically, Judgment Day is setting up to win, and in the same exact way they screwed him, Penta shows up out of nowhere, pushes JD over, and I think he kicks him in the face too, if I remember correctly. Ref doesn't see it, and then War Raiders, you know, capitalize, hit their tag team finisher, 1, 2, 3. War Raiders are now your number one contenders. Are going to get them versus New Day. I have to imagine they just want to give them a chance to maybe right the wrongs of the less than stellar
Yeah, get the
WrestleMania
rematch.
match. Yeah, just maybe. I'm assuming they do a stipulation literally because the match that was snubbed ended up being better. The one that we talked about last episode, the TLC match, ended up being way better than other Mania matches actually. And now the one that's being looked at very poorly is New Day and War Raiders. So they're kind of like, my guess is that they'll do like a tables match or something like that to be like, nah, look, like we can do this too. So look out for that. That'll probably be a backlash or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all I got on that. You got any notes on tag team stuff or Penta even?
I do agree with you on the War Raiders match having a stipulation. Because if you think about like 2 years ago, before Eric got hurt, the New Day and the War Raiders, Viking Raiders at the time, had a feud where the War Raiders, Viking Raiders, were the heels and the New Days were the face, and now they're just kind of revamping the same thing. But they had that. Remember, they used to have those Viking rules match where they bring out the
Yes.
boat and everything like
Yes,
that.
that's
So it's the same
right.
thing. So I'm assuming we're gonna get
Something
something
like
similar.
that.
And
Yeah.
I remember that match was good.
It
That
was
match was
fun.
honestly good because
I
yeah, they
remember
had to.
agreeing. Yeah, and we were like, wow, the War Raiders are actually pretty cool. Or the
So
Viking Raiders then? Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly what I mean. I think both
um,
teams are willing to do it, and I think they will. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. But there's no. Yeah, Penta gets his revenge from the week prior with Dom, and yeah, the story just continues that Finn is just gonna keep getting screwed over and getting
never gonna win.
more and more just closer to getting out of the Judgment Day. So uh, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Um, from there, I can move down to I think next thing is the Logan Paul promo, like we were talking about.
um. Oh, I guess
I
did
know
we
you have it
never?
beforehand.
Okay, sure, sure.
Yeah, we'll just discuss it. I know it's a little bit out of whack, but
It's
I
not a big
apologize.
deal. Not a big deal.
But yeah, so Logan Paul or Logan Paul comes out and has a promo basically saying, uh, basically calling out Jey Uso, saying like,
Yeah.
"You have what I want. I want your world title. Um, you know, I've done more in 4 years than you have in 15 years." Basically, kind of what he's saying. Jey Uso comes out to meet up with Logan Paul. Jey Uso is like, "I'm a different man. Gunther changed me." Um, uh, Pretty much that's it. That's all he says. "I'm a different man. I've been working for 15 years. You come in here for 4 years," and then that's when Logan Paul again comes back and says, I did more in your four like people. I've done more in my 4 years basically than you've done in your 15." That's exactly pretty much the only thing that really was relevant in the promo. Um, you know, then Logan gets. They just keep talking, and Logan gets super kicked and basically knocked out. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much the end of that promo. It's I think it is official that they are facing at Backlash. I'm pretty sure they made that official that they're
Okay.
facing each other at Backlash.
Okay.
I don't
Cool.
know. I could be definitely wrong, but we'll see. But again, I think I am pretty positive that they're facing each other at Backlash, and we'll see that match. I mean, I think it'll be
I
an
like
exciting
it.
match. Anything that Logan Paul's a part of, the match is exciting at least. Um, I don't think he'll win, but we'll see.
Yeah, I like it. The only thing I'll add on to this, you hit everything on the head as far as what happened. I just want to say I'm pretty sure. So you said you were like, well, Jay, he just said like one or two things, and that was actually it. I literally think that's because Jay forgot his lines. Like if you watch that promo, it kind of feels like Jay
Yeah.
forgot his lines, like the way it all comes out, and the kind of like how split up it is. Like it feels like he's searching for the words, and then he cuts to the last lines, which he does remember. So it's kind of like I think he forgot a chunk of something there, and
Yeah. The bulk of it.
he
Yeah.
just deleted the bulk of the promo because he forgot what to say. And you could tell because he starts going in, and then he kind of like he starts getting like emotional, and then he for whatever reason cuts right to what sounds like the end, and it's like, huh? Like you just got here. Like you're the champ.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
supposed to be the one spitting right now. I don't know. I think he forgot his lines. It's not a big deal. I don't. I actually think the more significant part of this little feud happens later, anyways. But yeah,
Yeah. You're right.
nice little. I like it. I like the idea of Jay versus Logan right now. That like you said, I think it is. I think it is entertaining. I think it's better than like I don't think they were ever going to, but like let's just say they were like, it's actually going to be Gunter again, and he's going to go right back at Jay. It's like that'd be kind of boring. That'd be kind of boring. I think we want to see something fresh, something new. Jay
Yeah.
versus Logan is definitely that. So, and two very charismatic people, I will say. When Jay doesn't forget his lines, it should be some pretty fire promos on the mic. I would hope. I hope they don't hold back. But yeah, that was that. We get to go to the next
I
little
will.
thing.
There was another the commercial. There was
Yeah.
one thing
Oh,
that
go
came
go
from
for that.
that.
Yeah.
This is your this is your guy. This is your Ludwig
Ah, tell
Ludwig
me.
segment. So Ludwig basically is saying, WWE is giving other people more opportunities, and they're not giving the greatest rising star uh, since sliced bread, basically, Ludwig Kaiser.
Which is Ludwig
And
Kaiser, yes.
basically, the big bulk thing that he said at the end, and I know you're gonna absolutely love this. He said he said he's the greatest German expert since Mercedes Benz.
What? Dude,
That's what he says.
he's the greatest German expert since Mercedes Benz. I mean
Yep,
that's kind of a tough bar. That's kind of a tough bar. Like I get what he's
that's
saying.
what he says. He says I'm the greatest German expert since Mercedes Benz. He could have said something else than expert, but what I heard was expert. So that's what I'm gonna roll with.
I kind of
But
assuming it even if I'm like even if it's some other word, I feel like I get what he's getting at there.
But then
He's trying to
then
say
he was
like
like, "Look at me, look at me!" Like he goes, I'm the
yeah.
greatest German expert since Mercedes Benz. Look at me!" And then that's when you said that you seen him at the end of it, where he's just looking at
Yeah,
the
so if
screen.
you watch this from as
That's
an
what he's.
American, yeah, you don't get that in Netflix view. So we just saw him in his face in the camera, and then it kind of just goes black, and you're like, okay, hi Ludwig, like what the fuck? He's just there for a second, and then he's gone. So kind of wish we could have seen that. Obviously, sometimes I do watch it with you on your Canadian stream through Discord.
Yeah,
You know, we have seen him in the past doing these promos, and they do seem to be giving him these promos. They
I think
just
he gets one of these promos every week.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I was getting ready to say was that it does seem that it's always on the Canadian commercial breaks, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
So they're building. They're not doing this for no reason. They're building something. It's just that it's interesting that it all takes place on these breaks. So there must be something that's going to come up and pop up into you know, the non-commercial stuff soon. I hope so.
hmm
He's a good wrestler. Yeah, probably should have a few more foreign heels than just Gunter. And Ludwig is kind of really good. So he's kind of like a Bond
hmm
villain. So yeah, I don't know much else to say on that though. Exciting stuff.
no. And then I think the next thing to kind of move into was the Paul Heyman
Yes,
thing in the
yes.
backstage. Okay. You want to take that over?
Yeah, I can do like that, and then the next because this was pretty
Yeah, that's
short.
fine.
This was pretty
Go ahead.
short, and then I'll do the next actual promo. So yeah, Paul Heyman kind of runs into Sami Zayn like they're literally just immediately kind of next to each other talking. It literally is just him trying to convince Sammy to join, and he basically tells him like, "I will get you a title shot against John Cena. Like, I will get you a title shot against the winner of that match, obviously." But he's saying like John Cena's belt, which is like a huge promise. That's kind of it. That's kind of the entire gist of this promo. I don't even really remember much any other words or even what Sammy kind of responded, but it was kind of like a think about it, like another little think about it, that kind of thing.
It was pretty much
That was it. Yeah.
sell your soul
Sell your soul
to us
moment.
kind of thing
Exactly.
from The
Yeah.
Rock. And that's another thing that I'll get to, and I'll get to it at the last part, the main event. Uh, I will get to it, but yeah. So the next thing, kind of moving on from that, is the Becky Lynch promo, and you said you
Yes.
wanted to take that over as
Yeah,
well.
so I'll do this one too because that last one was short. So, uh, this is the Becky Lynch promo. She comes out to finally explain herself to us, like what exactly happened with Lyra. Why did she just decide to betray her? Why is she being a bad guy in the first place? And it's kind of similar to a lot of these other people who are like getting up there in age now and they're becoming heels even though they weren't in the past. So John Cena being one, obviously. That would be that honestly be the closest one where she's kind of acting like that, or even Seth would maybe be a somewhat similar one, not quite as old, but same thing where they're just like, I'm tired of like looking out for everyone else. I need to look out for me, and like I took all this time and put all this effort into making Lyra a winner. Let me see what I put. She basically said like Lyra betrayed her. So it was two things. It's this idea that she put all this time and effort into Lyra to like make her a winner, but she ended up being a loser. And it's also that Bailey. So Becky basically harkens to the idea that I had completely forgotten about it or not even realized it much recently. But like, yes, Becky and Bailey are pretty big rivals, always have been. One is usually the heel, one's usually the face. Bailey usually being the heel. And Becky was basically saying like Lyra had no issue leaving me for that tag team match and going right to Bailey to be your partner because I wasn't available, and she knows I don't like Bailey, and so she decided to team with that bitch being Bailey. She said bitch and they let it play. She said teaming with that bitch, and that makes Lyra a loser. Like called Lyra a loser. So she called Bailey a bitch, Lyra a loser, and then Lyra's music hit. So now the crowd is actually popping pretty hard because I think they were feeling pretty awkward about Becky being so heel on the mic at this moment. People were cheering for Becky when she came out, but it didn't really feel that strong by the time Lyra came out. Like Lyra was getting the pop. People were doing the woo woo doing that for her. But Lyra, I'll
So,
say this just right now. This was probably the best promo Lyra's had since being on the main roster. She's taken some time to, I think, come around on the mic.
for
She's
sure.
not the best. She's very down the middle, if that makes sense. She's not bad, but she's also not exactly bringing like a lot of character that makes it like unique. Just kind of does sound like someone repeating the lines. This feud with Becky, someone she knows, she probably can draw more emotion into it as she's delivering these lines and really tell herself like Becky is betraying me. She did beat me up. Like this is my mentor. Fuck her. Like all these things. It really helps her because she brought energy to this. She brought pain to this. She basically just comes at Becky. She's like, I I could say everything she said, but instead I'll kind of wrap it up into this. She talks all the smack to Becky, and she ends up saying like, you know, um, let's see. Lyra comes out. She basically like kind of rats on her, and she's like, a lot of women in the back actually said that I should avoid Becky Lynch, like that I was being dumb for. So she's kind of like airing that out. This idea that like the locker room doesn't like you, that kind of thing. And they told me to stay away from you, that you're an opportunist and you stabbed me in the back, and you did. And then she's like, later, she's basically like, come and fight me right now, right here, right now. Let's settle this in the ring. And Becky's like, no, no, no. The man only fights when it matters, and it certainly doesn't matter here in Kansas City. And that made me laugh because I was like, that's pretty funny. Like, screw you people. Super heel heat at this point. The crowd's booing the heck out of her. So
Oh yeah.
Lyra does just go like, you know, I can't believe that I used to want to be Becky Lynch, but no more. I do not want to be like Becky Lynch. There is only one Lyra Valkyria. So very much like, you know, Tiffany's promos on the other show with Charlotte, same idea that's happening here, I think. She basically says, I want to fight you. Let's do it at Backlash. That does matter. And I know it's going to take more than just making it a pay per view, so I'm going to put this belt on the line. And she puts her Intercontinental belt up. And she does say, she says she's not worried about this because not only does she know she's going to be better than her at Backlash, she already knows she's a better wrestler than Becky is right now. And that did actually get like ooh chants from the crowd that were like, yeah, Lyra is a pretty dang good wrestler, and Becky, that's not like right now I would say her strong suit. She's a little rusty. So
Yeah.
yeah, that all happens. Lyra ends up kicking Becky in the face. Kind of end of promo. So yeah, now we got this match at Backlash. Wow, you know what I mean? Who would have guessed it? That kind of thing. Me and
Yeah.
you we're already down the line predicting that Becky will have take this belt. Spoiler, I guess. Like we do think Becky will win this, but they are officially setting it up, and I think it's an awesome promo between the two of them. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah. My initial thought was, Becky comes out and the crowds are reacting the way that they should at this point, um, which is a good thing to hear. They are giving Becky heel heat, but Becky's also making it work. Like she's doing all the heelish pop things, right? So she's trying to get it to work based off of the results of what happened when she turned last week. Um, but then also later on, Lyra comes out and kind of the point that you said.
Mm.
I said, like Lyra comes out and I'm just like, okay. He starts talking. I'm like, okay, here we go. Just like kind of another boring Lyra promo. Also, I don't know what it is with the like younger women on the roster, except for like Io, not Io, Rhea, but all these younger women just have high, squeaky voices, and it's very hard to take them serious.
Yeah.
Lyra sounds like Mickey Mouse, like dead ass, like sounds like Mickey Mouse. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I come out like she comes
I
out and
agree.
she just starts speaking. I'm like, okay, another Lyra promo. Like we'll just see what happens. Like whatever. And then as she's talking and saying these lines, like I think it's because she's going against Becky Lynch that it makes it a little bit easier. Kind of like how you said, she has been her mentor, so she's like, Becky's just like, just give it to me. I don't care what you say, just give it to me, right? Just say anything. Um, so yeah, I think she did a really good job. I think her pro ability stepped up here, and hopefully she can stick with it and get better, because she is a good wrestler. Even though I'm not like the biggest Lyra fan, I don't like.
It's probably
She's
because
good,
of what
like,
we're talking about. Yeah, she needs to bring it
exactly.
on the
It's just
mic.
I don't like her character. I don't like her character as much. It's a little like she's a little bit too dramatic. She's like trying to be Io
She's like
Sky
a theater
dramatic
kid.
wise.
She's like a theater kid.
Exactly, and it's kind of just a little awkward and weird. But you know what? Go ahead. It's your character. That's kind of what you're doing, right? So, but yeah. So it ends with us getting a match at Backlash, and kind of goes along with what we predicted. Not Bailey, Becky
It's all the same.
possibly coming back to win.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So and that'll we'll eventually have an episode, probably a week or two about all that. But for now, the prediction will probably end up just being Becky. But yeah, that's all I had on that. You can take the next match if you'd like.
so the next match that comes up is we get another week of Stephanie Vaquer. We get
Yes.
Stephanie Vaquer versus Ivy
Yes.
Nile. Um, Chad Gable. He talks. There's a promo before it though, isn't there, with Chad Gable and Ivy Nile in the back talking to Nick Aldis?
There is. Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember anything that?
I think it
It's
is.
irrelevant, basically.
It's
Oh
relevant
no,
in
it
the
was
sense
Penta.
that
He was talking to Penta. That's what it was. Chad Gable
yeah,
was talking to Penta, and Penta was like, or Chad Gable was like, Penta, I'm so glad that your brother, like, or El Grande Americano was your brother's first loss. And then
right.
Penta was like, Bendejo, and kicking his ass, basically. And it was just great. It was awesome. So, I'm sure we're gonna see more Chad
More
and
of that.
Penta kind of
Oh,
feuds, and maybe
that
even
would be sick.
El Grande and Penta like that. So, yeah, we'll get those probably later on. But then, yes, that feeds into the Stephanie Vaquer and Ivy Nile
I mean,
match.
yeah.
And as the notes here just say, it was a great match. Nothing really super exciting happened. I think that WWE is just trying to give Stephanie Vaquer as much time as possible. Build her up for
Stephanie
whenever she
won.
does eventually
Just to
come
be clear,
over.
Stephanie wins the match. Like,
Yeah, Stephanie does win the match. She hits her finisher that everybody loves. And yeah, it's just like again a good technical match. It was honestly very similar to what we got last week with Io Sky. Just it's not as much like maybe not. Maybe it wasn't that. It wasn't on
not
that
quite.
caliber.
Just
It
because
was not
Io's
that
better
good.
than Ivy
So
Nile, yeah. But
yeah, but
it
but
was
uh,
a
we
solid
did get a point with
match. Yeah.
Stephanie. Yeah, we did get a point with Stephanie and Chad Gable talking to each other outside and like kind of yelling at each other. But yeah, it was just a solid match. I don't really have any notes to it. It was just yeah, just another good Stephanie Vaquer match, and hopefully we can get more.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. She's still that NXT champ. I think what they're really trying to do is build up that as much as possible so that whoever does beat her for it, we all care a lot and we watch the
Yep.
match. And
Yep.
I don't know quite who it would be yet because now we're a lot of these NXT women are starting to come up. So now I'm kind of like, who will it be? I don't know. But that's an NXT thing, not my biggest worry. But yeah,
Yep.
yeah, honestly, yeah, you really hit everything. I don't have a lot of notes other than what I'll say as someone who watched it on my broadcast. What you see in the middle of this match is Stephanie do her. I'm gonna call it her. Well, they called it like a death's kiss or something like that. The one she does where she bounces your head with her ass,
Oh
basically.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I want to call it the Booker T move. I don't know. Like it's such a silly move, but it's so fun to watch. Obviously, it's a crowd
Yeah.
favorite. They she does that move. Then they go in a commercial break. The commercial
Why
break
is it
comes.
fun to watch?
Why is it fun to watch? Because it's a really great technical wrestling move that does a lot of damage to
yeah.
the opponent's head, and it's only certain women are capable of doing this move. That's what I would say,
Yeah,
and
you're so right.
Stephanie
You're so right.
Vaquer is one of them. So, um, it's what they did is she did this move, and then they go into commercial break, and then they come out of this commercial break, and the very first thing you see is her spinning Ivy Nile over with her legs to do it again, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. So
yeah.
that's the only like of note thing. Otherwise, it was a lot of just good execution, solid spots. Again, nothing over the top. Ivy Nile, I think, is someone that
There
they're.
was.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I
I'm
was just
sorry.
say Ivy
There
Nile
was
is someone. Oh
because
yeah, you go, you go,
we
you
keep.
go, you
It's
go, you
okay.
go,
Sorry.
you go.
Sorry. There was a spot during the commercial break
Yeah.
because obviously you guys get commercials and we in different countries just get through the match like we're at the actual show. There was a spot where Stephanie did a like suicide dive during the commercial break, which I was
Ooh,
surprised
that
because
sounds cool.
like that's like yeah normally they just kind of sit there and like sit in the headlock or
They
something
don't do a
and
lot.
just
Yeah.
talk about each other or they're laying down. But that was honestly the rest of the match too. Like you know like how Daniel said, right out of the commercial break, right before that commercial, like while that commercial break was going on, they were literally just laying on the mat, like nothing was happening, basically. So,
Okay. Okay.
but yeah, like I said, I did feel like I had to mention the one spot, like she actually did something during
Something
the
pretty
commercial break,
crazy.
like she
Cool.
ran and did like an actual suicide
Sometimes
dive. I thought
like
that was pretty cool.
because we watch them so much, I do try to keep track of what's happening. Sometimes you get, I would almost say, the coolest spots. It's almost like they know they can kind of go off script a little. So if they so choose, the people in the ring, they will go above
Yeah,
and
you're right.
beyond and do some crazy shit. They'll like go outside the ring for like 20 seconds and just start beating each other up in front of the crowd and let the crowd
Yep.
get involved. And you're like,
Yep.
am I watching this right now? Like, but then you realize, well, this is basically a house show for these like 90 seconds. This is basically what this is. And
Yeah.
what do they do at house shows? As much wacky shit as you can think of. So, no, I
Yeah.
like it. But cool. Yeah, I don't have much else. We can go on to the next thing if you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. The
Do you want me
next
to?
one is the.
Do you want me to?
No, I can do it. I can do it.
Okay.
So the next one is the Gunther segment, attacking the commentators. So basically, just kind of recapping what happened last week. Gunther attacked Michael Cole, um, had him in a headlock. Pat McAfee comes over and like hits Gunther, and then Gunther's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Grabs Pat McAfee, chokes him out. Cool. You can go back and watch last week's Raw. There was like 10 minutes of Pat McAfee just walking back to the backstage after he got choked out. But okay. Now Pat McAfee gets up on his desk. He says, "I feel like I need to address this shit." He says that
Oh,
like right then
right,
and there.
right.
And then Pat McAfee gets up on the mic. He's like, telling a little blurb about his life. He's like, I grew up in Pennsylvania. My dad was a truck driver, working paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. I support and give back to all my communities, LGBTQ, all that type of stuff. He made all that stuff clear, and he said uh, there was a lot of like f bomb
He
stuff
was cussing a
because he
lot.
was just
Yeah.
like
He
yeah,
was getting in his
just because he
feels.
wanted to come off serious.
Yeah.
But I seen on Twitter he said Pat McAfee had a like 3 minute long promo and that's the best or that's better than anything that Ricochet ever did. And Pat
I
McAfee's
mean,
like,
it's not untrue. It's not untrue.
No, but honestly, no, the promo was fantastic. It
It
was
was
a
great.
really, really good promo. Pat has that ability. He has that charisma. And he knows how to get a pop out of crowds. He does his own shows. He just had the big night out thing, whatever. So he knows how to get those pops out of crowds. And he killed it. He really did. He's like, I'm a loyal MFer. Gunther, I want to see you. Blah blah blah. Nick Aldis comes out and it's like, Pat, I was talking to Adam Pierce, and like, we want to give you the match, but we're not doing it. Like, we're not lifting Gunther's band tonight, but you can have it at Backlash.
He said
So now we get
unsanctioned.
an unsanctioned match at Backlash. So now we do get a confirmed Gunther versus Pat McAfee match at Backlash.
It's
And
interesting.
if I would have ever guessed Pat McAfee in the match, I would have never thought it was Gunther.
Gunter.
Never in my
I
never in
mean,
my
this
life.
is nuts. Are you? Is there any other notes you have on it before I say something?
No, that's
I
pretty
just,
much it. That's pretty much
I just
it.
want
You
to
go
say,
ahead.
like, yeah, the whole point of this felt like it was basically Pat McAfee going, "Hey, I'm a lot of things, good or bad. But if there's anything I am, it's loyal. I'm a good friend, and Michael Cole's my friend, and Gunter, you went after him, so I'm coming for you." That
Yep.
that was the
Yep.
whole gist of this. So I would say it's worth going back to watch. I'll just say this. The one thing I'll say is, like, what exactly is this match going to be? Because in reality, Gunter being in a no rules match with anybody should usually mean that Gunter destroys them, for the most part, unless they're also some elite level talent. Pat McAfee is if we're going WWE 2K terms, he's like a 70 overall, or whatever he is, 80 over, whatever he's supposed to be. It's not high, right? Like, that's kind of the.
Yeah.
He's not a real wrestler. Right? He's a commentator, which is fine. He can wrestle. That's not my point. But there's a reason in the past when he has matches, they're against like other you know, the word I want to use is gump. I don't know if the crowd would understand that word quite as well as we do. So
Yeah.
I'll use like other soft targets. Maybe that'd be a better way to put it. Gunter is not a soft target. This would be, I think, the best wrestler Pat has ever gone against in a match. And they're saying, oh, it's basically going to be no rules. I think that's what they're saying with unsanctioned. So it's like
Yeah.
Gunter could get a chair and put Pat's head in the chair and like power bomb him if you want it. And it's like, oh shit. So
Yeah.
I kind of
No, I
think,
think I think this match is
yeah,
to basically show Gunther as a big, bad,
you think
terrible
so? Yeah,
person who is just
I
who is
agree.
just going
Pat
to.
is.
No, it's nothing is going to stop him from just almost killing this man. Like, that's what's going to happen. And Pat's going to be the type of person. It's like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. Like, I'm not going to give. You're going to have to kill me to give up, basically. And Gunther will probably kill Pat McAfee.
I
Like, that's
wonder if
kind
like,
of what I'm thinking this match is
yeah,
going to be.
like Pat has been commentating a lot lately. He's been seeing a lot of cool spots, a lot of tables getting broken, and I wonder if he's like, I think I want to do that. Like I want to do a match where I get just destroyed and like, but like it's me like powering through and I still lose, and it's like, yeah, that'd be cool, man.
Yeah, he
I'm
probably.
I'd be cool with that. And then like maybe there are spots where he does. I think this is probably the only way Pat McAfee gets to have a big match like this, and he's gonna get to throw Gunter like through a table or something, and he's gonna get to be the one live out his boyish
That'd be
dreams,
cool
right?
if he does.
All
That'd
of
be
us,
cool if he
whatever, would
does.
always want to be that guy that's like, I jumped off a ladder onto some guy or something. I think this will be the match Pat McAfee finally gets to do that before he's like, let's just say like too old to maybe do anything in the ring ever again, type of thing. Because
Yep.
he's getting up there. He's not it's been a year since Pat McAfee first joined WWE. Okay, like he's not getting any younger. He probably wants to do this now before he's like, I'm not the athlete
Yeah, he's
y'all
like
are.
almost 40.
He's almost so then he before he's like 45, 50. I really doubt he's going to be wanting to do matches like that at that point. So now or never
Yeah.
for him. Should be a fun match. But I don't have much else other than that.
No, that's it. It was a great promo. One of the better promos of the year so far, for sure,
Yeah, as
in
far
my
as
opinion.
someone
So,
cutting something on the mic by themselves, I agree with that. Yeah. Him and Gunter as a feud, not one of my favorites in the world, but that's fine. It's not a big deal.
no,
Like it's fun. It doesn't
no,
have to be the best thing in the world. Neither of them have a belt, right? So
yeah. So
cool.
just give us something to backlash. That's what they're trying to
Something
do. Just give us
entertaining that
something.
I don't want to turn off. Like this yeah, yeah. But cool.
So I'll let you take the next two
Yeah, I'll
things.
take the last two things. So short little promo. These are basically just one big promo, I guess, because they have to do with each other. So you get a little backstage thing where it's Sami Uso, or Jesus, I do that. I've done that a couple times. Sami Zayn
Sammy Uso.
With Jay Uso. Gosh, and it's Jay Uso actually who's look. This little part is really cut and dry. It's basically Jay going like, "Hey, hey, Sammy, you got a big decision to make tonight, it seems, Zeus. You better make the right one. Like, I think you know what the right one is, which is what we all think, which is
Jay looked pissed.
he did
Jay
look
looked like
pissed.
super
Yeah,
pissed at him.
yeah. He was like
So it's like
being
it's
serious
kind
about
of
it.
hinting like what we were talking about. You and I were talking about a couple like last episode about Sammy potentially, you know, turning, and that's probably what Jay thinks, right? So,
It's
but go
there.
ahead. I
It's
don't want to
there.
cut you off.
No, no, you're
Yeah,
good. You're good.
he did look pissed.
Totally good. Well, that's the thing. Is Jay's getting all serious with him, and Sammy's like, okay, I got a lot to think about. You're right. Let me go out there. Sammy goes towards the ring. Then, boom, Logan Paul hits Jey Uso. He gets his payback for earlier, the super kick that he hit on him. This feud is off and running now. You got both men kind of like assaulting each other in the same night within an hour, really, within an hour of each other. So I'm assuming we get another promo next week between Jay and Logan, and I think they're really banking that promo next week gets a big pop. I think Triple H is probably really hoping that his kind of two Wonder Boys right now in two different ways, Logan being the internet Wonder Boy with his own big massive fan base, and then Jay, who has this more organic WWE massive fan base. Two things are
Yeah.
colliding. I think Triple H is really hoping that like fireworks come from this and not like a dud feud that kills momentum for both. And I'll say this, if that happens, I don't think that's as bad for Logan. I think that's really bad for Jay. If this feud doesn't work, it's going to be a big signal to Triple H and whoever else that like make decisions to be like, if Jay can't make it work with freaking Logan Paul, who else are we going to put in a feud against him? They're going to take that belt right off Jay.
Yeah.
So this needs to work. It needs to hit, and then it'll probably end with Jay beating Logan. That's predictions episode. Don't need to get on it too big. But Jay does get hit by Logan. Logan just kind of flexes on him, taunts on him, and then that's the promo. So we go into the main event. He does that. We go into the main event where it's supposed to be Sami Zayn's decision on what Seth Rollins has offered him and Paul Heyman and Braun to join their group. So they go out there, Seth, and he's basically like, hey, Sami Zayn, come on out here. Sami comes out. And just to be clear, it's just Seth. It's just Seth out there with no one. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
he's talking to Sami, and he's like, come on. I won't go too deep into it because this plus the first promo actually did have a lot of dialogue. If you're someone that really would like to watch that, I would go just watch these promos yourself. But like the general gist of this is that Seth is like, what are you doing? Like what's your choice here? And Sammy's like, I don't want to be given an opportunity for nothing. I don't want to cheat to get it. I don't want to team up with you guys to get this handed to me. I want to win on my own. And he's kind of making this point of like, I don't really hate you, Seth. Like, I don't have something against you, but I am not going to join you on this path you're going down, right? Like, which Seth is also like, oh, I'm not going to hurt you, Sammy. Like, that's not what I'm here to do either, man. We're friends. And then, Braun Breaker's music hits because Braun is coming out to hurt you. Like, that's the whole idea here. And so they literally are just like, all right, let's get this going, Braun versus Sammy right now. And it is like this idea that Sammy's being caught off guard because he's fighting in just his like street jeans and belt still on and shoes still on. He just takes his shirt off and just fights Braun on this match. So the main event now is a match between Braun and Sammy. They just kind of make it happen because he doesn't join the group. So now we get into a match. This match is actually pretty decent, I would say. We have already seen them fight before for the IC belt. I would say that match was better than this one. I don't think that's like a shock to anybody. It was just a regular Monday Night Raw main event. It wasn't for a belt necessarily, but solid match. Sammy, I would say, is the one that looks like he should win throughout this match because he is doing more to Braun with his more technical style. Dodging, I think Sammy, probably the best thing I like about him as a wrestler is he's better at anyone than doing dodges and counters, if that makes sense. So like you do something, he'll like jump over you, he'll like flip over you, he'll roll around you, he'll roll under you. He has all these like funny little ways of doing that. He'll do a 619 through the rope if you throw him at the rope, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of that happening in this
He's
match.
very evasive.
Evasive is a great word, exactly. High in agility, right? He has a high agility stat for my nerds out there. And so he basically is doing a lot of evading on Braun, a lot of technical attacks. But we do end up getting to a point where, Braun does just start getting at Sammy, and then he does just, and if I remember correctly, I don't think that this was from much interference. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Braun just hits a spear, and then you're kind of like, okay, what's going to happen next? He just hits another spear, and you're like, oh,
the match just flips the switch. The match flips the switch, and it's like Braun just, it's
he
like
hits a spear,
snowballs.
and you're like,
Braun
okay.
hits one spear, and then there's like six after it. This is just like more devastating
Well,
than the
that's
other.
so he
Like
hits the
there's
second one, and you're
one spear,
thinking
and
that's
then
the
he runs
pain,
around the ring and hits
right?
a second spear.
So after he hits the third spear, which is also in the ring, after Sammy just gets up, they play an angle where Sammy is like injured. His ribs are like cracked or something. Like that's the angle. He rolls out of the ring and can't get
Hmm.
up. And so they're not even doing a count out. The ref is just like, call this match off. Sami Zayn cannot continue. So this is a brutal way, in my opinion, for Sammy to lose. I will call back to when they had that IC title belt match. This was the same way they had Sammy lose. He just looks very weak getting hit by the spear. Like Sammy's whole thing is that he's a regular guy, right? That's kind of what he looks like. Well, he does look like a regular guy taking a Braun Breaker spear. He looks like he's dying every time it happens.
Yeah,
So here the spot is Sammy is taking it over and over and over, and now he's like basically dead. And then what do you see? Braun is just staring menacingly at Seth outside of the ring, who just gives him like a nod, and Braun rolls out one way. On the polar
he
opposite,
does
he does
this.
like this. That's his version of that. And did he actually
So
do that? Did he
he
actually do
actually did
this?
that.
Okay, okay. So
He
then he
actually did
actually
it.
does
And
this.
this is my point from earlier. This is my point from earlier
Mm.
is that Seth Rollins has been acting very rock-like. And this goes for
Oh,
months
I see
back.
what you're saying.
This
I
goes
see what you're
back
saying.
before Mania.
Okay.
He's come out in the turtleneck and chain. He's done like saying he said same things as Rock has said. He's
He'll
done same
take
mannerisms as
bars.
Rock has said. Yeah, so it's like he's
Do you think
he's
he's like
he's
doing
he's
this like dual
cosplaying.
personality thing? Like I am the
I think so.
visionary and I'm also like the CEO guy. Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yes.
That's kind of fascinating.
Yes, because this sold it for me. So I was like, maybe he's just kind of doing it for fun. Like he was like I'm saying, he literally came out in the Rock meme, the turtleneck and the chain. Like
Yeah.
he came out in one of those like one like that outfit a couple weeks ago, if not like a month or two ago. Like leading up to this point, he's been doing little Rock aneurysms or whatever they're called. Um, and then this right here, that kind of just did it for me. And I was like, okay,
You're
he's
really feeling it now. Now
he's
that he is the big arch villain, you're
yeah.
like, oh, you can't
Yeah.
fool me anymore. Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm like,
It's
I'm
like
gonna be
he's the
looking out
one
for
who
it.
sold his soul, basically.
It almost. Oh, I see. I see. I see. I see. Like an almost hidden little. Like it wasn't ever presented to us, but it's still happening. I kind of
Yeah.
like it. I kind of like it. Okay, it actually makes a ton of sense because, I mean, obviously the whole thing we're hearing in the real life side of all this is that The Rock did kind of be like, I'm just gonna remove myself from a lot of this when that probably was not the plan. I refuse to believe the plan was to not have Rock at WrestleMania. That makes no sense at all. So it's like, okay, maybe what we'll do is build a whole new character out of someone that it already made sense to do it anyways with Seth Rollins, and then he takes over that kind of, not literally like I'm in charge
Yep.
of John Cena, but maybe everyone else as we go forward over the next year or so. He is feeling like he's in charge of everyone
Yep.
else. I like it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, all I was gonna say is yeah, that ends with Braun hitting another couple spears on Sammy, who is supposed to be like getting medical attention at that moment. So and then it ends with them like standing tall over Sammy, with him getting medical attention at that very moment. So not like,
And then Seth stomps Sammy, I
oh, and
believe,
Seth did
right?
stomp Stamp. Yes, he did. You're right. You're totally right. That kind of is
Because
a part of
because
everything that
like
happens. Seth stomps him. Yeah.
Seth like ripped away Braun Breaker and was like, he's like, you're like, good job, but like, he got what he deserves, blah 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 blah. You don't need to go any further, all that type of stuff. But like, this is what he deserves, or something like that. I couldn't hear like exactly what he was saying, but and then he goes and stomps him, and then they stand tall and they're like, okay, and then that's the end of the show.
Okay. Yeah, that's a show. That's all about the notes I got. I think it's a fun episode for the couple
Yeah,
things. Some of these things did. I would say that. Sorry, I'm getting burpy. Some of these segments did, let's say, that like bring us back down to earth as wrestling fans. Like last week's SmackDown and Raw were so
it
good,
really did. It really
and then
did.
it's like
Yeah, it
this
did.
week was right back to, oh yeah, this is how it is
This is what a
actually.
normal. This is what a
Right.
normal show looks like.
Just to note, that segment we just got done talking about ended like not anywhere near 11 p.m. It was like
No, it was early. It
10:35.
was early.
It was really early. So when the credits popped up, I was like, "Whoa, Oh, I guess it is over. Okay, all right. That's a show.
Well, Sammy and Seth came out at like 9:30, 9:40.
That's true because I guess they turned a segment into a match, but still, something felt like it was just really short. It is what it is. But
Yeah,
unless you got any other notes, we can wrap up our recap on Monday Night Raw right there.
yeah. No, I think that's it. I think that's a pretty good show. The show as a whole, I think that's something we can probably start doing is grading the
Kind of
shows
just
and
giving
see
it.
how
Yeah,
it
let's
at
do
a
that.
5 star.
Out of five, you
I
go
think
first.
the show for me was I think it was a little lackluster. I think I'm gonna say it's a 3.
Okay.
Nothing too fancy, nothing too fancy, nothing too bad. You know, some of the more important things, like the Grayson Waller and Austin Theory promo, that wasn't even on the actual show,
Yeah, I
basically.
would have also liked to see the
So
Ludwig
yeah,
thing myself. That would have been nice.
yeah. So yeah, these things would have been cool, but yeah, it's just a 3 for me. I think that's perfect, right in the middle.
No, I totally feel on that. Look, I like this idea of grading the shows. I guess we did kind of do that for WrestleMania. So, look, I'm not afraid to give ones and twos here. If we're doing it out of five, I kind of felt like this was a
Hey,
two to me.
go ahead, go
For the
ahead.
simple idea that just if I'm really thinking of last week, like Friday Night SmackDown last week would have been the closest thing I could possibly get to like a five. I think that would just be five for me. I think it's probably the most exciting weekly show
Yeah,
I've seen
SmackDown
in a while.
was a
So
SmackDown was a 5.
if that was a
SmackDown was a
five,
5.
right? I'm thinking like there was. I'm thinking of it like this: was there anything that happened in this week's show that I would pluck out and put into that show and say that show still would have been awesome? I don't know if there was anything in the show. If that's kind of what I would say.
No,
Maybe the Bailey, or I did the same thing.
the
The Becky
Becky.
Lyra segment felt really cool, and that would have been a cool promo. That plus just the fact that everything wasn't bad, it just nothing was what I would call good. Everything was just average. That's why I'm going to put this at a two.
That and
I
then
think
the
they should try to go
Roxanne
big
and
somehow every week. At somehow they should
yeah.
try to go big. I would appreciate that, but this week felt like the opposite of that. Oh, let's try our best to take a break, guys. That's what this week felt like. So I'm going to give it a two. I'm not going to let them off sweet. So
Hey,
and
good for you.
what
Good
were
for
you
you.
just
Yeah.
saying? What were you just saying?
I was saying the promo that you said with Becky and then I think the Roxanne and Rhea thing
Yeah.
were like the two
Rox Eggs, well,
bigger
that was
points.
also pretty cool. That was pretty solid, yeah.
Yeah.
But then there were
But
things that were I would call bad, but we already covered the episode. We don't need to go crazy on it. But
yeah.
what we will get into
So
now,
okay.
yeah, is our Mount Rushmore. So we'll start with the men's. I think would make the most sense. And
Yeah.
I figure I can go first. I kind of think I already know what I want to do here. But we'll just kind of give our explanations for who we consider to be the Mount Rushmore of the men's division and the women's division. And this would be like, to us, the four most important wrestlers, period. Like, there doesn't have to be
To our lives.
to
To our
us,
lives.
yes, me,
Like
Daniel,
who
and
we like
Tyler.
the
Yeah,
most. Yeah.
exactly.
It's
So,
not like it's not who's the best because
no,
that's everybody's typical Stone Cold Rock, all that type of stuff. Right?
Hogan or
So
something.
this is
Yeah, whatever you think.
who are our favorite wrestlers growing up, or even in today's just the top four that we like the most, that we have a connection to.
Yeah. So my four are as follows, and it's not necessarily in order. However, I will say the number one would just be Jeff Hardy. That is my favorite wrestler of all time. We could do another episode at some other time where we talk more in depth about the people we consider our favorites, but Jeff Hardy is my favorite wrestler of all time. That's what got me interested in WWE. Watching him jump off that scaffolding onto Randy Orton is the very first time I was ever truly exposed to wrestling. And ever since then, I've been a massive fan for the most part. So,
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy, number one, he is on my Mount Rushmore, followed by, man, I just mentioned actually, Randy Orton, RKO, Randy Killings Orton. If y'all didn't know, the
Good stuff. Good stuff.
K stands for Killings. Randy Killings Orton. You're not a real one if you don't know that. So, uh, I'll be honest with you, Ty. I don't know if how many people actually know the RKO is just his initials. Fun fact. If you actually start asking people, what is that? I think it's like they'd be like, well, I don't know actually. Like I think it's just RKO. It's like no,
Yeah.
it's Randy Killings Orton. Anyways,
I will say, like when I first was a wrestling fan, like back when I was a kid, I didn't know that, and I probably found out maybe 2 years after the
right,
fact.
right.
Um,
You find
yeah,
out
so yeah,
somehow, but that's my point. Like
yeah,
it's not always so apparent. But anyways, RKO stands for Randy Killings Orton. Whatever. Randy's one of the best to
yeah,
ever do it. I think there is a decent chance that they will let him beat John's record, and let him be considered the goat and not Randy or John. Sorry. And Randy low-key does deserve it. The one guy out of these last couple decades who has
Yeah.
the accolades everyone else has, being John Cena, The Rock, uh, Roman, whoever else you wanted, whatever. But he never ever stopped. Every time he was available, he came back and he wrestled. Never went to Hollywood. Maybe that's because he couldn't do it. I have no idea. But he's should be considered the GOAT. The memes are aplenty. Everybody knows who Randy Orton is, even if you're not a wrestling fan. Most people know who he is. So it's like, come on, one of the GOATs. Number three for me would be The Undertaker, as a matter of fact. So it was hard for me to
Really?
not put him on here. I think he was such an impact to me as a kid and just what it felt like when The Undertaker did pretty much anything. And when you really think about it, I do think there's a case for him also to be considered the GOAT because I think what he was able to achieve is like a character, not with his biker character. I think his biker character is fine, and it's cool. It's cool that he has another character, but I do think
Yeah.
the Undertaker is so iconic. So similar thing with Randy Orton, and John Cena is not on this list for me, but in the similar sense that memes of what this character means and not even just memes, but like what the character represents and what they are supposed to invoke moves so far beyond the wrestling world. It has to be recognized. Like the Undertaker, the bong bong, that shit, the lights going
Yeah.
black and then someone being right behind you, like the eyes rolling in the back of the head, the tombstone, the pinning you in the tongue bullshit, all of it. It's
Yeah.
all so iconic and so ridiculous. He was never like a heel or a face. He was able to just completely ignore all that and just be the Undertaker. Like that is so legendary. It sucks now that he's not really that character anymore, but it kind of also makes sense. Whatever.
Yeah.
But Undertaker's number three. My last one. I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest, and I think it makes total sense. And I'm trying to. I want to bring in one person from the new school, but it's hard to deny. I think I just have to put my man Gunter, the ring general,
There
into
you go.
this because
That's
Gunter
good
is
stuff,
a
dude.
record setter. He is destined for greatness. He already has a solid track record of belt winning, almost a Royal Rumble winner, but he has won Andre the Giant. I want to say twice, if I remember correctly. Um, he has accomplishments already, but in the ring, one of the goats. And I just really love his character. So I would say the fact that he's able to really be so similar to the old school wrestlers and do it so well, so convincingly, with English as his second language, not easy to do. It's all just very cool. I do hope there's never a point where like his momentum dies down. I hope that's not what's coming after Pat McAfee. But I think the Pat McAfee thing will set him up well. But that not really
Yeah.
the point of what
I
we're,
agree.
we're talking about. But I do think Gunter's awesome, and I think he's the only one out of everyone on this list that can like continue to prove while they're actually while why they are there. That's why I would say I don't feel weird about putting him there above like let's say a
No,
John
I get.
Cena or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So those are my four: John Cena, Undertaker, Randy Orton, and Jeff Hardy. That is my WWE wrestling Mount Rushmore for men. Tyler, take it away. Who is your Mount Rushmore?
So number one is going to be my favorite wrestler of all time, the game, the cerebral assassin, Triple H. Um, he has just always been my favorite wrestler. He's always had, back when I think like when I got into wrestling, I think it was more just I got into the video games first, and then I
Oh yeah.
watched wrestling on TV. Um, and he had the cool entrance, the cool theme song. Like I liked how he looked. He was a big, massive dude. He had the sledgehammer all the time. He was badass, dude. He
Mm-hmm.
was so badass. He's one of the best heels in the game. He's so entertaining when he talks. I don't have to go like Triple H is the goat. Like he's literally running the company right now.
The pedigree is really cool.
The pedigree was a cool move. Like yeah, I just loved everything about him. He was my just every single time I chose him in like the video games and all that stuff. Yeah, so he's my favorite wrestler of all time. Uh, Number two, I would probably have to go, and I'm going to go a little bit earlier. I'm besides Triple H. Triple H is number one. I think the last three are they're not going to be in order, but they're just going to be like the in that top four. So I'm going to go new school, and I am going to go Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Ever
Nothing wrong
since
with that.
ever since I got back into wrestling a couple years ago, like the very first Raw I watched right after Mania, it was literally the Raw after Mania, and one of the first segments was Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, but I heard Seth Rollins come out. I love this theme song. I knew I kept up with Seth Rollins and what he did throughout his years, like the Shield turn and the Money in the Bank cash in. Like I wasn't oblivious to wrestling. I looked at it through Twitter. I would see updates and news feeds and stuff happen here and there. I just wasn't as into it as I am now. But hearing him, his song, like how people chanted his music, just how he goes about his things, and I think it's very prominent for me to like Triple H as that's my favorite wrestler, and me now liking Baby Triple H
Yeah.
and Seth Rollins. They're both like the same person, right? So I think that kind of bleeds true. Um, I would think my third option would probably be Jeff Hardy. It has
It's
to.
hard to avoid.
I
I
was gonna
figured.
try and make it. I was gonna try and make it
I think
different
it.
than
I think it
yours,
makes total
but
sense.
just based off of our childhood together,
Yeah.
just watching his matches, dude, amazing matches, man. I love. It's so exciting. Literally had the best theme music.
Mm.
Just so charismatic. You know, maybe not the best mic worker, but at that time I didn't care. I like doing the
The
dance and
dance
everything.
is
Like it was great.
legendary.
Oh, dude, it was just awesome. Jeff Hardy was. He changed lives. He changed our childhood
Oh
lives, dude.
yeah.
It was just awesome. You know, I had the figurine. I'd go up on top of the steps and put the table on the bottom and throw the
Oh.
figurine off the top, dude. It's just so yeah. Jeff Hardy had a lot of impact in my life, just because it's just always exciting to watch him. And you know, one of my still favorite matches to this day and most sad matches. I think I cried when it actually happened when I was a kid. Was his match with CM Punk, the steel
The
cage
steel
match,
cage
where
match.
you know
Yeah.
who he lost the championship and he had to retire
Retire.
technically.
Think about how
Um,
wild that is nowadays. Because they knew they were getting rid of him. They made a match out
yeah,
of it.
yeah,
They made a match out of
hmm
this man leaving, and he actually said yes. He was like,
yep,
"Yeah, sure."
yeah,
And
might as well.
honestly, that was probably smart as shit because it
And then
was
the next week he's in
emotional.
TNA. So it's
And then he's just in
like,
TNA. Like what? Nah, that
but
was
and we got that on a SmackDown. We didn't even
that was
get
just a
that on
random
a
SmackDown.
TLA. We got that on SmackDown.
They wanted to get rid of that
Um,
man. That was crazy.
so yeah, Jeff Hardy's there, and then
Number 4.
you know it's hard. It's so hard to pick between these two. But since you said Randy, I'm gonna say Batista.
I knew it. I knew it. I absolutely knew
I'm gonna
it.
say
But yeah.
Batista. Dude, Batista is so badass, dude. He's so badass. You know, yes, the machine guns, the his power bomb still to this day is the best power bomb
Oh,
I've
he
ever seen in my
executed
life.
perfect execution every single time.
Oh,
He really set the bar for what a good power bomb looks like. I used to think
yeah,
it was just his move. I didn't know other people did it. I thought it was just his. That's
dude. Oh, dude,
bruh.
it's and I shouldn't even say power bomb. His Batista
Batista
bomb.
bomb.
That's what
Yes,
it is.
sir.
It's the Batista bomb. And his spear is just as devastating as anybody else's. Um, so yeah, dude, Batista is an electric talent. I wish he was in the WWE longer. I wish he would still make comebacks, but you know he's kind of on and done what he did. But his time in the WWE was short, but it was amazing. It was impactful for me. You know, as a kid, I'm gonna like the big fancy entrances and you know the just a badass dude, and that's why my one of my honorable mentions, and I know you can even say honorable mention if you want, but that's like he will be on my list one day. Is Braun Breaker? I am in love with Braun Breaker. I
Okay.
really, dude, he is. It's he gives me the same feeling like Batista did. So it's like as you can see, I like the same type of wrestlers. I like the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
like basically I'm just naming off Evolution, and I didn't try to. It's just the people that I like. To be fair, I didn't even watch wrestling when Evolution was around. I was still a little too young, or I just didn't even look at it, or whatever it was. Um, I watched uh, like when the new version of DX came out. So around like that 2006, 2007 to like 2010 time. That was my time frame of
Yeah.
watching wrestling as a kid. Um, but yeah, so that's my top four: Triple H, Seth Rollins, Jeff Hardy, and Batista.
Okay. All right. I guess if I was to make an honorable mention, you might be surprised to hear this one. And I'm more just trying to think like way like okay like down the line who's someone that'll really change my mind, and I'm gonna see them way differently even now than I or then than I do now. And I'm like, if I'm being so honest, the guy with like the most potential possible of anybody, and they could literally be considered like the greatest of all time, if they want to be, right? If it's like literally completely up to him, is Logan Paul. Like Logan Paul
That's
could,
fair.
by the time it's all said and done, be considered the greatest to ever do it, and I'm not joking when I say that. So I kind of low key, I'm gonna put him there.
He is already the greatest celebrity to ever do it. He is
It's not
already
even a
he's already
question, but it's like
no.
I think what really needs to be considered here is how charismatic he is, how good and athletic he is, and it's like, okay, in actuality though, he's doing some of the things that some of these other wrestlers never are able to do in their whole life, which is like get people interested, do some of these promos that he's doing, and he's doing it at like such a young age without a whole lot of experience in this. And so the way I see it is like he only is doing it a little more and a little more, getting more and more experience, and he will eventually hit that point where he does start to really get it, and he's like, okay, now I
Yeah.
can do whatever I want. I
Hmm.
think he could be like the next Shawn Michaels. I'm so serious, but
Yeah.
um,
I mean, hell, dude, he is like he's our age, if not maybe
he
a year or
is.
two older. And
He's like
like
28 or
Carmelo Hayes just
29.
got out of NXT.
Yep,
Carmelo
that's my
Hayes just got
point.
out of NXT. He's like 30. He's like
He's
30.
like
So it's like
31.
he's
Yeah.
just yeah.
It's like Trick,
If he
which a lot of
sticks
people don't
with
know this.
it,
Trick is like 33. Like that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we're just seeing the beginning of Logan Paul. As long as he takes it serious and doesn't doesn't drop it, I could definitely see him becoming one of the best
Yeah. And
heels
to be clear,
ever.
I don't like Logan Paul. I've never watched his YouTube videos. Never subscribed to him on YouTube. I don't care. I don't care. I care. I know all
Yeah,
the conflict. I just don't care. Don't.
we're
If you want
talking
to,
about
hey,
wrestling.
if you want to comment about it,
He's in.
feel free to leave a comment on the video about it. Feel free to leave a comment on the video about how much it pisses you
Please
off.
do.
If please
Please
do.
tell me how much he
How
sucks
much
in
are
the
you
world, and I'll
upset?
just sit there
Yeah.
and disagree with you.
But that's our Mount Rushmore for the men. We can now go on to the women. So I will.
Yeah,
I guess I'll just start this one too. I mean, I'll just say this
yeah,
real
go ahead.
quick. You know, the thing about this one, of course, is that at least for when around the time I stopped watching, which I'm pretty sure is around the same exact time you stopped watching, WWE was like leaking a lot of fans, so it wasn't just us. Like this was a known thing. They were losing a lot of fans, and we were part of that at that time, around that late 2000s, early 2010s period. A thing that they did to bring fans in, not necessarily bring them back, but like bring in new fans to make up for the loss, was the evolution of the women's division. What I'm getting at is that we did not really see all that. We are now fans now, and we're just seeing the maybe more
Yeah.
like the result of all that
Yeah,
work.
yeah, we didn't see the
So
four horsewomen in their
none of
prime
that.
or anything
When I
like that.
stopped
No.
watching wrestling, they were still the divas. They were still a joke. They were not interesting in the ring. Some of them were good, right? But it was like I didn't even understand what I was watching to begin with much. So it was just usually boring. They did not take time to build many feuds between the women. They were almost always used as like, you know, how hot are you? That was it. It was like how hot are you? How interesting can you be to like
Yeah.
prepubescent boys type of thing. That was it. So a lot of these women on these Mount Rushmore probably not going to be from back then. I'm going to be honest with you. So with that being said, for me, I know for a fact, just based off like the person I have appreciated the most, respected the most. I think they work. I don't know if they work harder than literally everyone, but they seem to work harder than most people. They take what the company gives them, which is usually good shit, but whatever, is Bianca Belair. Bianca is amazing at everything she does. I have literally not had a single reason to not like her at any point. Always does what it seems like she's asked. Always does it very well. Even now, probably the hardest part in her career where she's like getting a lot of boos when she shouldn't have been getting any for no reason really. Like she was still just pushing right through it. And that match they did at Mania was awesome, and she was a part of that. Just every time I watch her, every time she does anything, promos, mid card matches, main event matches, championship, no championship, she's awesome. So I hope that she continues to be one of the top featured people. Hope that lasts for as long as possible. I hope she continues to stay in like amazing shape, like peak athleticism. I hope she doesn't have any injuries, all that stuff. So keep up, Bianca. WWE, don't stop doing that. Cool. Number two will be. This is kind of where it gets hard. Like the next three, I'm kind of like, how exactly do I go about this? Because there's a lot of different things we can go off of. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I'm trying to like really keep this personal to me. Who really jumps out to me? Who do I respect? Who like who impresses me more than anyone? I don't care about like achievements. It's wrestling. Like it's fake. Like the achievements don't actually matter. It's a week to week who is impressing me. Nia
Yep.
Jax, I think I'm going to put it on this Mount Rushmore. Nia Jax, to me, has carried the women's division since I've started watching as the most heelish heel women out of all the women.
Yeah.
So many of these women have a really hard time actually being heel. They end up getting like, I don't want to use this word. I don't know what else to use. They kind of get like catty, I guess would be the way I describe it when they become heelish. Nia is actually like a bad person, and so she's very convincing, and people actually don't like her backstage, so it makes it even more convincing. And where her career should have been over a couple years ago, she fought through all of that and made lemons out of lemonade, and now I think she's, in
Yeah.
my opinion, me in my opinion, the best heel in women's wrestling right now. A lot of faces that are awesome, or a lot of just good wrestlers who are also heels. But being
Mhm.
a heel is different, not just wrestling. Being a heel is different, and I think Nia Jax is the best at being a heel. She's annoying. She's
Yep.
she's personal. She attacks you. She doesn't seem to take personal attacks too hard, which is saying something for Nia Jax and personal attacks. It's not hard to make fun of Nia Jax, okay? She does not seem to care, right? She just has something right back to give to you. So I like it. I like it. Keep giving me Nia Jax. Next two. This is where I'm like trying to think. I'm like, okay. I think I have to say Tiffany Stratton, probably the most
Okay.
impressive younger girl, woman. Like, because I think when we started watching, she had only just turned like 21 or 22 a couple years ago or whatever. She's only like
Yeah.
24,
It was
25 now, so she is young, okay, and she's killing it. She's just absolutely killing it in every way. Mic work needs work, but I'm confident in putting her here because she has been able to impress me and keep my attention more than a lot of the other women in the time that we've started watching, even
yeah.
without a great mic workability. I think she is just such a great character and an act that you want to see. And in the ring, she is electrifying. She never lets up. She always gives you 110%, even on those mid card matches she used to do, even on NXT when we were
Yep.
watching her on NXT. Like, she was just 110% all the time. I hope that doesn't. That's another thing. Like with her, hope that doesn't stop anytime soon. With how much high flying she has built into her kind of like wrestling moves set, I guess. Hope that doesn't
Mhm.
stop. But I don't think we need to even worry about that at the moment. She's the champ. She's the best. It's great. So that's
Yep.
number three. Number four will be. So I got Bianca. I got Nia. I got Tiffany Stratton. I almost want to be really, really crazy and say like Roxanne, but that's like Roxanne has
It's
just
yours,
not.
brother. It's
I
who.
know, I
It's
know.
who. It's who
It's
you
who we
are.
feel,
I
but
don't want
she
to
just
say
hasn't done
attracted to. I don't
anything.
want
Is
to
my
say that.
problem. I don't consider
Yeah.
NXT accomplishments really much at all, other than maybe what Fraxium did because they had the record, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I respect, but then I'm also like, why are you on NXT so long, right? So I'm kind of like, I don't know how much I'm supposed to respect
Yep.
those kind of things. So no, I won't say Roxanne. I'll say do I want to say Bailey? Because I don't actually like Bailey that much. I just respect her a lot, but I don't actually like her. I
Yeah.
like Nia. Nah, I'll say Io Sky. Io Sky to wrap it out. Probably like pound for pound
That's
the
good.
best wrestler of like the women's division. Just like the person in the ring who does the best, the most technically efficient, the best at selling, doing a large combination of moves. She has a high flying move set that not many other. Like, given that a lot of women are high flyers, they're still not as good as Io Sky. That's saying something. There's a reason that they literally
Honestly, Io
say
Sky could be the best wrestler in the
that is
WWE,
honestly
men or
not an
women.
insane thing. I think you might. She is like reminiscent of prime Rey Mysterio. Like that's kind of the feeling I get when I watch her. Like it's just so
Yeah.
explosive, so entertaining in every way. She makes other people look really good. Io obviously is having a great run. She's champ. Awesome WrestleMania match. I mean, as far as that kind of stuff, you could list off a million things. Damage Control is one of the more interesting women's factions in the last couple of years. Has had a bunch of different types of belts. I mean, what can you say? Io's awesome. Yeah, I'll put it there. Io Sky, Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jackson, Bianca Belair are my women's Mount Rushmore for wrestling right now. What do you say,
Nice.
Tyler? What is yours?
So to start off mine, I'm gonna put AJ Lee.
Okay, okay, I like it.
I'm gonna put AJ Lee. Because I was watching at the time when AJ Lee was in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Um, so uh, she was in the later years of when I started watching. So like what I think 2012 to 2013. Like I really did watch
It
up
was a.
until then. Like I kept up and I followed it.
I was gonna say it would have
I
been
probably didn't watch it
more.
religiously, but I was definitely watching it like
Was
every
that when it was like
other.
her and Dolph Ziggler, or is that maybe before what you're talking about right now? Sorry, I'm
I don't
not trying
remember
to.
actually.
It happened
No,
around that
I don't
time.
honestly. Yeah. But yeah, AJ Lee, she was just always. She was really one of the first women that I had listened to or heard on the mic, like actually cut a good
Yeah,
promo.
convincing. Like,
You know,
yeah.
convincing like I took her
Not
stuff
super
serious,
scripted. Yeah,
even though unfortunately she did play the
I know what you're
ditzy
talking about.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna. You know what I mean. You
it's a
know
little
exactly what
different
I mean.
about 15 years ago,
She
y'all.
played the Trish Stratus kind of role, unfortunately, when that happened.
Yeah,
So yeah, but no, AJ Lee, she was a damn good wrestler. Again, she had really really good mic promo. She was like the first like woman that would also go in and be like, like cuss you out, like put you in your place type of woman, right? So that's kind of what I liked about her,
that's
uh,
fair.
just back in the day. Now, my next one would be Tiffany Stratton. She's my favorite
Okay,
women's wrestler right now. Um, I did watch her at NXT. I think she has the utmost potential in the world. I think she's got the wrestling ability. Everybody loves her. She does have a good gimmick. Like I don't know how far that's going to get her for her career, the Barbie gimmick, but who knows? It might.
yeah.
It might just take her the whole entire way. Who knows?
For now, I
So
think
yeah,
it's you know what I mean. For now, it's pretty good. Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Um, I don't want to be basic, but it's like you said, our women that
it's a
we
little
watched
different.
growing up.
Yeah,
Kelly,
there's
I don't
like
even remember who else. Beth Phoenix,
Beth
like I didn't like
Phoenix
Beth Phoenix.
maybe, but I didn't like Beth Phoenix either. Yeah,
No, I mean Mickey James.
Mickey
Mickey James is
James.
she was okay. But yeah, it's like it's those. No offense to them. Again, WWE has changed
A
dramatic,
lot.
like drastically. Um, because when we were watching, like Daniel said, the women's matches, there was maybe like one a night. Uh, they weren't taken serious. Um, it was just under different ownership. So, with that being said, I think I gotta go Rhea. I
That's not
gotta go
basic at
Rhea.
all. I didn't, and like
No,
it's interesting. You went her, and I went Bianca, unless Bianca's the fourth. But you know what I mean.
well, honestly,
Well,
she might be the fourth.
anyways.
Um, but no, yeah, Rhea, she is again. The first time we started watching was Raw after Mania of WrestleMania 39.
Yep.
Um, Rhea comes in as the new Women's World Champion after beating Charlotte Flair,
Yep.
and just
You can
entrance
tell.
theme, cool. Entrance theme, cool. She's got an aura, dude. When she does, like, she holds her freaking title up like that, she's got an aura. And this is me first, like, introduced her. This is nothing else. I'm just like looking. I'm like she's a star. She's definitely a star. And then you see it as it keeps going on throughout the weeks and weeks and weeks. She's getting more pops, bigger pops. Yeah, she's just a star. Nothing else to say about it. Everybody loves Rhea Ripley.
Solid.
Um, do I want to go Bianca?
It's up to you.
Do I want to go Bianca? I don't know. I
Totally up
don't
to
know.
you.
I just don't know who else I would put up in there.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm trying to
Really
think of who
don't.
even my other outside candidates would have been. I was thinking like Liv Morgan at one point, but then I was kind of like, I don't know about that one. I don't really know who else there would even be like a Becky if you like Becky a lot. Bailey would obviously I mentioned that, but I
You know what? I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go so different. You know
go
why?
for it.
Because
This is
it's
this is what we're here
something.
for.
It, yeah, I'm gonna go so different. Chelsea Green.
Ah, that's so funny you say that because I was
Chelsea
thinking
Green.
about it earlier, but I was like, nah, no, like,
Chelsea
but you like
Green.
her a lot, right? Because I like her a lot too. Like, she's fun. It's a fun character.
Yes, exactly. It's a fun character. She is hilarious. She's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
She talk about a person that just takes what she's given and runs with it.
at all
Like
times.
they've given her dumpster matches where she's thrown in a dumpster. She took the big spot at the Money in the Bank last year where she fell off the ladder onto two tables. Like
Yes, that's
she's
right. That's
just she is
right.
such a hard worker. She has great matches. Amazing theme songs. Again, a fantastic character worker. Yeah, Chelsea Green for sure is up there because like I just everything that she's a part of, I just enjoy. I think it's either funny, I think it's like a good match, I think it's um I just think everything. It's a good she's a great wrestler, a great character, all that type of stuff. So Chelsea
Yep.
Green is my fourth. So it was AJ Lee, Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, and Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green. All right. All right. Solid list. I like that you put in Chelsea. That's so funny. I was genuinely like when we were getting up to the women, I was like thinking in my head, I was like, do I want to do Chelsea? I was like, no,
Well,
that's
you gotta think too. Like that was like the first when Samantha was still there, and like you and I even talked
Chelsea.
about it.
Yeah, we
It's like
did. Yeah, we
Chelsea
did.
Green. We're like, oh, that's different. That's kind of cool,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's kind
yeah.
of what got that started, right? That's kind of what got
That's
Samantha
what people don't
Irvin
realize. Yeah,
her
Sam.
her like, oh, you can do this with other people. Like you can
Yep.
actually do this, and
Things
that's
were.
what we.
Man. Too bad Samantha had to leave, man.
And she's Matt Cardona's wife, so it's like
And she's Matt
Matt
Cardona's
Cardona.
wife.
Matt Cardona's pretty good. It's so.
Woo, woo, woo.
But yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Woo, woo, woo.
Um,
Okay. Well,
but yeah,
cool.
I think that's the show.
Yeah, nice little episode for the people. Now y'all kind of get an idea of where we're coming from when we're like really trying to think of, who do we like, why do we like them, what are we looking for. Obviously, we have quite a few that are wrestling right now, especially for the women. So keep an eye
If
on all of those
anybody is
people.
Yeah, if anybody's watching this on YouTube, I know we probably don't get a ton of viewers right now, but if anybody's watching on YouTube, please feel free to comment your top
Yeah.
four. Men's and women's, we'd like to see them. We'd like to talk about them. We like to think that we're more interactive than a lot of people. Will actually probably
Oh
address any
yeah.
sorts of comments that come through,
We look at them, y'all.
and
Trust
talk to
us.
you and talk to that. So if you guys have any ideas, give us that. And no, I think I think it was a good show.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're not the biggest wrestling fan and you only know so many, but you have like you're like, oh, my favorite is John Cena. I love John Cena. You can type John Cena. Then we want to know. We want to get an idea of what y'all are into, and frankly, how far in the episode y'all are getting. So if you got this far and you're hearing this, yeah, comment down below either your Mount Rushmore or your favorite wrestler ever, anything along those lines. We wanna
Yep.
see and we want to talk to y'all. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Just as always, didn't really get anybody today, which is totally fine. But as always, we are streaming live. Tyler's actually begun streaming himself. So, as always, I'm streaming at the twitch.com /I am Dan. Tyler, what is your Twitch that they can see you?
We are twitch.tv TNT X72, capital TNT, little X72.
Okay.
Yeah. And then again, follow us on the socials at basically TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you call it, DNT, D and ANDT pod or show.
Yeah.
So yeah, go follow us on there. Check us out and leave us some likes, give us some comments. We'll be much appreciated.
Yeah, and on this YouTube video, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, like we said. Hit us with all those fun things. We're here for y'all every Tuesday, every Saturday or Sunday or so. We got y'all. We were talking about wrestling. That is it today for episode 5 from the D&T Wrestling Show. Y'all take it easy. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace.